The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Depoe Bay, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38845. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 fog lights on the passenger and driver side. Also on the face of the front bumper on the passenger side, you'll find dual air horns. Just inside that location, unit identifier E21. Directly in the center, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving to the face of the front bumper on the driver's side, you'll find the mechanical siren. Let's move up onto the top of the bumper extension where you'll find a swivel discharge. Just inside that location, attached to the frame rail, you'll find 2 tow hooks. D-handle will gain you access into the storage location for your front bumper load. Moving to the outer edge of the cab is where you'll find your marker turn indicator light. Just inside that location is the headlight structure housing low beam and high beam. Low beam is located on the inside. Directly above that, emergency warning lights forward facing. There are 3 windshield wipers on the seamless one-piece windshield. Moving to the outer edge of the A-pillar is where you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving over to the passenger side corner A-pillar is where you'll find a downward facing mirror. There are 5 identification clearance lights located across the brow of the apparatus. Located in the center is where you'll find a forward facing floodlight, and up onto the roof area is where you'll find emergency warning light bar. Let's take a look at a few of the close-ups of the front bumper extension from the side, where we have a side-facing emergency warning light on the bumper extension, front discharge swivel, moving into the storage location for your front bumper hose. And now we'll move on to the side of the vehicle on the driver's side. Let's start now with the cab section. We'll identify a few items here, starting first with the front axle, where you'll find Goodyear tires, steel wheel, and a visual sight gauge into the center of the axle. Moving to the side of the front bumper extension, side-facing emergency warning light. Into the stepwell area, you'll find an auto eject for your airline inlet, and also an auto eject for your shoreline inlet. Moving up to the corner of the cab is where you'll find a marker turn indicator light. Easily accessible with a gloved hand. These are your door lock and latch combination. They are keyed. Right next to that, you'll find grab handles for gaining entry and exit into the cab to maintain 3 points of contact. As we move to the rear cab wall, you'll find a side-facing lower zone emergency warning light. General view here of the pump panel area. We'll come back to that in great detail. Let's move on to the body section. To the rear of the axle, you'll find 2 folding wheel chocks. Moving just forward of that location, you'll find SCBA bottle storage location. And then also to the rear, fuel location for your ultra low sulfur diesel and DEF. To the very top, you'll find side-facing scene lights, and to the rear of the apparatus, an emergency warning light. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus now. Starting on the left and right side lower portion, you'll find a brake, turn, and reverse light. On each side, there are 2 emergency warning lights located upper and lower. Also, rear-facing scene lights on the passenger and driver side. 2.5-inch rear discharge, traffic advisor. Moving to each side of the hose bed area, you'll find additional long-handled tool storage, and then also a ladder for gaining access to go to the top section of the truck. Let's move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle. For the most part, same configuration and layout. Moving on to the body section. into the notch or pumped area on the passenger side. We'll come back to that in great detail also. And then onto the cab, which has the same configuration and layout. Moving now into the cab area on the driver's side, let's first start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel are safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window controls, and a grab handle. In the stepwell area is where you'll find your air eject and also shoreline inlet eject. These are both auto eject options. When plugged into shoreline power, the battery status will illuminate, indicating battery status charge level. As we move into about the right ankle of the driver, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and then also fluid type. As we move to the floor area, you'll find an air horn foot switch and also a mechanical siren foot switch. About the left knee of the operator, you'll find the silver master battery switch. Just to the right, you'll find the engine, transmission, ABS J1939 diagnostic port, and then also switches here for ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. Let's move up to the dash area of the vehicle. We'll start on the left-hand side with the ignition and start switch. Just inside that location, a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights with one button. Headlight switch and a panel switch, which allows you to brighten or dim lights within the view of the driver's area. And then to the opposite side of the steering column, the OK to engage the high idle switch and indicator. As we move to the dash cluster, you'll find transmission, oil, def level, and water temp on the left. On the right-hand side, you'll find volts, fuel, front and rear air. In the center, you'll find the tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information regarding tally lights will display above and also below the tachometer and speedometer, with additional information being displayed in the digital readout in the very center. Let's take a quick look just to the right of the driver's space, and we'll identify a few items. Let's start at the very top section here with some switching and some information in this area. First, an indicator for stationary OK to pump and roll, your water pump switch, perimeter lights, and load manager. Moving to the right, your scene lights for front scene, driver's alley, passenger alley, driver's side scene, passenger side body, rear scene, and also your push to apply fluid for the windshield and windshield wiper control. Engine brake settings for low, medium, and high, engine brake on and off, high beam flash, siren or horn selector, your fog lights, and mirror heat. Just below that, we'll find a digital readout for pump pressure. Also to the right, yellow diamond, which is your pull to apply your system parking brake, and push to release. This is the spring brakes at the rear. Allison transmission pad, digital readout, informational note, pump in neutral. Just to the right of that location, mirror control for the flat mirror and convex mirror control. To the dash area, climate control, heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Moving just to the right of this location, you'll find 12-volt access and then also a siren brake for your mechanical siren. As we look overhead, let's direct ourselves to this yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 9 feet 11 inches, length of the vehicle, 32 feet 6 inches, gross vehicle weight rating, 45,000 pounds. You'll also find the 5-digit job number 388845-01. Further to the right, emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of these switches have been activated, the light will illuminate within each individual switch indicating that it's on. Further to the right, siren control and PA speaker. Moving further to right of this location, traffic advisor. As we look to the roof or ceiling area inside the cab, we'll find at the very front your collision avoidance system, seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat, green they're in the seat and belted. Just to the rear of the seatbelt information, you'll find a red flashing light indicating do not move your apparatus if the light is on, indicating you may have a door open or compartment ajar. General view to the rear wall of the apparatus. Let's go ahead and go inside the cab area to the rear crew compartment, starting first with the door panel, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, electric window control. Also, you'll find door lock and latch and a grab handle. Overhead, push on and off white or red lens lights, and also your air conditioning unit. There are two rear-facing SCBA seats located here, one on the passenger and one on the driver's side. Located on the rear cab wall is where you'll find your EMS compartment. In the very center is where you'll find your daily check access for oil and transmission. Let's move now into the forward-facing compartment. At the very top section, you'll find, when plugged into Shoreline Power, an outlet, and then also a 12-volt USB block. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, this is to the rear cab, just above the crosslays. In the lower portion, you'll find a warning placard indicating entanglement hazard, and then just below that, you'll find crosslay 1 and crosslay 2. In between the two of those crosslays, you'll find the release mechanism for your speed load. Let's move now to the notch section or driver's side pump panel. There are two 2.5-inch discharges locally controlled via ball valve and also gauges. Also, warning placard: caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening those caps. In the center, you'll find the Pierce logo American flag eagle. This is your large diameter pump inlet. Moving down from this location, you'll find a 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet locally controlled via ball valve. Up into the right corner, you'll find an air outlet and control valve. As we move down, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. You'll also find a pan door located here at the very bottom section. We'll go over that in a moment. Warning regarding pressure hazard: caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Also, warning: fall hazard when climbing on or off the vehicle. Always face the vehicle. Let's take a look at the lift and turn latch. Once we gain access behind the pump panel, you'll find a recessed location. We'll cover that next. Moving into the pan door area is where you'll find the intake relief valve. Control settings or instructions are on the face of that placard. Also, the step does fold out for gaining access aloft, which is tied to the do not move your apparatus. Let's start at the very top section of the pump panel, first with this light indicating that your pump is properly engaged. This light should be illuminating. Also, you'll find the blue module, which is your water tank level indicator. Moving into the gray module is your master intake. Just to the right of that location will be the master discharge. In between the two of those are the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged, and these are utilized for pump testing purposes. As we move to the right, you'll find a visual indicator for the PCM fault, also an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate, allowing it to increase or decrease sound. Let's move downward on the pump panel where you'll find your front discharge, crosslay 1 and crosslay number 2. To the right, you'll find your fire pump primer for operations at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices. To the right of that, your pressure throttle governor. Moving further down, you'll find tank fill and recirculating line, and also tank to pump. Moving just to the right of this location, you'll find your pump test placard. We'll go over that in just a few minutes. Also, warning regarding only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. There are two electric valves, number 2, 2.5-inch discharge, and your large diameter. These are both on the passenger side. We have a rear 2.5-inch discharge and also your deluge discharge. Let's go back to that placard indicating pump test information. First, we'll start with test pressures at 150, 200, and 250 psi. The associated GPM is on the left-hand side of the test plaque, and then on the right-hand side is the RPM. These were conducted while in pump operations and the governed speed of 2,400 RPMs. Let's move further down to the right where you'll find a pan door and then also all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move inside the pan door, this is your manual pump shift override. It is a protected switch. Also on the vertical side sheet, you're going to find all of our information here regarding scene lights and also water pump, activation, and an air horn. As we move into Shoreline Power, this is the battery charger. When plugged in, this should maintain batteries. Moving now into the compartments, you'll find to the forward section of the axle 3 SCBA bottle storage locations with retaining straps. Moving to the rear portion of the axle, this is where you're going to find our fill location for the ultra low sulfur diesel fuel. It is the silver cap identified here. As we move that flap downward, it does expose the DEF tank, which is the blue cap, and it is 4.5 US gallons. Let's move through the rest of the compartments where you'll find a tool board in the overwheel compartment. Once it's open and fully extended, it will lock into position. The release is located on the hinge side. To the rear compartment, you have a pass-through compartment and also shoreline outlets. Once again, these have to be activated, be plugged into shoreline power. Full view of the apparatus on the side of the driver's area. Let's go ahead and move around to the rear of the apparatus next. We'll start with your brake, turn, and reverse light in the lower portion. There are also ladder storage for your 24-foot ladder and 14-foot roof. Moving up to that side on the right is where you'll find a deployed ladder for gaining access to go on the top section of the truck. You'll also find some warning placards here indicating entanglement hazard. On each side of the hose bed, you'll find additional long-handled tool compartments. That was your long-handled tool and also 10-foot folding ladder. Down at the bottom, we have a warning, do not ride on the vehicle while it's in motion, and then also caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. As we move to the right, once again, never ride on the vehicle, and while climbing on or off, make sure you face the vehicle. Let's move just to the right-hand side where you'll find the deployed shelf. The release mechanism is located on the right-hand side. As we move on to the right side, this is on the step side. This is where you'll find your storage location for your suction hoses and also additional long-handled tool storage. As we move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle, we have a pull-out tray in the lower portion and an adjustable tray in the upper portion area with an adjustable shelf. As we move to the overwheel compartment, you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 6 bottles, 3 to the forward portion and 3 to the rear portion of the axle. Those do have retaining straps. Let's move now to the forward of the axle location where you'll find your diesel exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operations. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move into the next compartment forward, you'll find adjustable shelving. In the upper corner, you're also going to find a 12-volt access, battery direct. Also, as we move to the forward vertical wall, you'll find shoreline outlet. We're back now to the notch section above the hose storage through compartment. Netting located here for your cross lays. As we move now to the pump panel area, you'll find in the upper left-hand corner, this is the cab lift placard indicating cab lift instructions to raise and to lower. Also some danger placard because of the movement of that cab. Also a warning placard here regarding fall hazard when climbing on or off the vehicle. Always face the vehicle. And then an additional warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move to the discharges on the electric valves, there is an override located here requiring a tool to override the electric valve. This is on the number 2 passenger side discharge. Same configuration applies to the large diameter passenger side discharge. The override is located here and requires a special tool. As we move to the very bottom section of the pump panel, color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's move now into the cab section at the rear. Once again, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information located here, electric window control, grab handle, door lock and latch combination. Overhead, push on and off white or red lens lights. Also your air conditioning unit located in the center. There's also a drop-down seat located here. This is on the passenger side directly behind the officer's area. Once again, 2 rear-facing SCBA seats We're now to the front axle. We have a Goodyear tire, steel wheel, and center visual sight gauge into that hub. As we move into the officer space, I'd like to point out affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch combination, electric window control, and a grab handle. Moving to the floor area, you'll find an air horn and mechanical siren foot pedals. Up to about the right knee of the officer, this is going to be on the hinge side, is where you'll find the fill location of the windshield wiper fluid. That was the A pillar. Overhead, push on and off white or red lens lights. Some switch panels here for driver's alley and passenger side alley lights. Moving to the left, you'll find these warning placards throughout the vehicle indicating the option number and also the termination type and what this is actually identified or labeled for. Please don't remove these until your maintenance team has had an opportunity to review those. Directly behind the officer seat, when plugged into Shoreline Power, that outlet will be active also. All compartments now open on the passenger side. Let's move up onto the roof, where you'll find these placards indicating that this is a non-walking surface. Let's move into the dunnage area next. This is where your master stream device is located. You also have top storage. D-handle gains you access into this space. As we move to the side, you'll also find hatch compartments with lighting and dry deck material inside the base. As we move to the hose bed cover, you'll find yellow diamonds marking the edge of the walking surface and also access into the water tank top fill location. There are two hose dividers that are movable to the rear of the hose bed area. The next image is identifying the yellow diamonds as the edge of the walking surface. The next set of images that we're going to go through are going to be that of the engine, chassis, and undercarriage area. We'll start on the driver's side and move down the frame rail. As we move into the frame rail area, once the cab has been fully tilted, please store the safety bar in position. Please do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. Maintain equal pressure on both left and right cab cylinders. As we move into the engine space, we'll identify a few items starting at the very front. This is the fill location for your radiator. There is also a sight gauge just below this. This is the recovery tank for your radiator. This is not a location that you would fill from. Also, power steering fluid. There's a dipstick and also sight gauge. As we move to the yellow dipstick, this is your engine oil. And into the red or orange color, this is your transmission check. Moving now, starting from the driver's side frame rail, moving toward the rear of the apparatus, this is the location for your battery box. Just underneath the battery box is where you'll find the negative and positive jumper studs. You'll also find to the rear of the battery box the location for your hydraulic fill. This is for the cab tilt. There'll be no additional audio from this point forward in the general photos of the chassis and body section. Congratulations, Depoe Bay, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38845. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.